Hey everyone, welcome to this week's Leadership Moment with Brian Dodd. It is a pleasure to have you, and I'm very excited about what we're going to talk about today. Today's leadership lesson is very special for a number of reasons, but one of the reasons is that we are, in essence, relaunching a podcast that I get to host today. It's called The Pursuit of Service, and that's a podcast that I'm doing with Jeff Wright. Jeff's a great friend of mine. We attend church together. And let me give you Jeff's resume. Jeff is a U.S. Army Ranger that saw heavy combat during the recent Gulf War in the Middle East. He's also an elder at our church. He's an entrepreneur. He's a financial advisor. He's an incredible husband and father, special needs parent as well. And one of the things I love about Jeff is when you look at that resume that I just laid out, I don't know many people in America that have that resume of Army Ranger, combat experience, military leadership, entrepreneurialism, elder at a church, strong Christian, loving father, loving husband, special need parent. And to have him as a friend and to be able to do a podcast with him, it's called The Pursuit of Service. You can get it on Apple, iTunes, Stitcher. You can go to my website, click the link at the top that says podcast, and just you can get that anywhere. We're in essence relaunching that today. Jeff and I just had a kind of an off-the-cuff conversation about a month ago, and he happened to record it, and we're going to make that the first edition. And it was about the recent ESPN documentary on Michael Jordan called The Last Dance. And so we covered a lot of topics on there. We covered, Michael's competitive drive and his commitment to excellence and what kind of a teammate he was. We talked about Phil Jackson and how you lead elite talent. We talked about leading mavericks like Dennis Rodman. And we talked about Jerry Krause and how he told Phil Jackson, if you go 82-0 as a coach, I'm still going to replace you. And how his insecurities and his personal agenda, how he put that over the good of the organization and the good of the team, and how it really harmed them. So we'll cover all those topics. But there's one topic in particular that when you look at The Last Dance, no one talks about. And that's what I want to talk to you about today because of the critical nature and importance of it. But once again, no one talks about it. And I want to talk about Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen is my favorite player ever. I think Scottie Pippen is the greatest wing defender I've ever seen. Back during that era, let's say from 89 to 96, you'd put him up there with Michael and probably Dominique Wilkins early in that as simply the greatest finishers on the break that there's ever been. Paul Pressey started the point forward position, but honestly, in my opinion, no one's ever played it better than Scottie Pippen, the point forward position. And when you look at the 92 Dream Team, Michael was the best player, but it's really kind of tied between Pippen and Barkley of who the second best player was. So an unbelievable talent. But Scottie Pippen's career, Hall of Fame career, multiple-time All-Star, Dream Teamer, greatest defender from the wing in his era, all of those things, it's marred by two moments. So let me set it up like this. I'm coming to you today from my studio here in my house. And this is my library behind me. I love my library, love my books. They're some of my best friends. But if I took a white sheet and I took it from one end of the library, the one end of the shelving, and hung a white sheet to the other end of the shelving, and I took a black magic marker and I put two dots. So the sheet is 99% white, but there's two black dots on it. What would your eyes go to? Your eyes would go to the two black dots. And that's what human life is like. That no matter how much good in this world that you do, no matter how much your resume is impressive and how robust it is and how much you've served people and how much God has done through your life to further mission and vision, to further organizations, to provide solutions, to help the poor and under-resourced. There could be two black dots on it that those could be the defining moments of your life. So Rick Warren famously said that God, when you die, God remembers your best decision. Well, unfortunately, we're not God. Human beings tend to remember your worst decision. So if I say King David to you, you're either going to think of one of two things. You're going to think of David and Goliath, which was a very good thing. It was kind of the public coming out of David, so to speak. Coming out that God's hand was on him and he was going to be the king. But most people are going to remember David and Bathsheba. So David's got this huge white sheet with only a couple of black dots on it, but that's what everybody's going to look at. And so when you think of Scottie Pippen, a lot of people, I gave his resume earlier, but there's two things people think about. The migraine headache, which was Game 7 of the Eastern Championship in 1990 against the Detroit Pistons. So he was unable to perform at his potential because on the day of the game to determine who's going to go to the NBA Finals, he gets a headache. Now that could be physical, so he gets a little pass on that one. But the other that takes place is in 1995, and it's called 1.8 seconds. And what this is in a game against the New York Knicks. The Bulls are trailing by 1 with 1.8 seconds to go. And in the huddle, Phil Jackson, the head coach, calls up a play. And this is during Michael's 2-year retirement period. And what happens is he calls for Scottie to take the ball out of bounds, pass it to Tony Kukoc, who would take the shot. Pippen, as you probably well know if you're a basketball fan, elects to not even go into the game. If I'm not taking the last shot, I'm not even playing, no matter if my team needs me, my city needs me, my coaches need me. It does not matter. If I'm not taking the shot, I'm not even going into the game. So what happened at that point? Phil Jackson tells Pete Myers to go in. They pass the ball to Tony Kukoc. Tony does hit the shot at the buzzer that wins that particular game against the New York Knicks. And that one moment, that 1.8 seconds, is the defining moment of a Hall of Fame career. So why is this important? It takes a lifetime to build trust, but trust can be lost at a moment in time. So you must remain diligent. You may be a great and faithful husband for 30, 40, 50 years. And at a moment in time, that could all go away and become the defining moment of your marriage. You could be an incredible pastor and for 30, 40, 50 years be faithful, led thousands of people to Christ, grow a great church. But at a certain moment of weakness or a certain bad decision, that one dot becomes the defining moment of your life. You could be a business leader, and there comes a time when you're struck with making a decision that could be in an ethically gray area, and you make the wrong decision, and no matter what you've done for the company, no matter how many people you've hired, how many people you've given opportunity to, how much your stock price has gone up, your career could be defined by that one moment. Because God remembers your best decisions, but humans remember your worst decisions at the expense of everything else. So if you're a leader today, and you've been fortunate enough and blessed enough and protected enough that you've not been compromised in any way, just remember you're only as good as your next decision, so stay diligent and remember the career of Scottie Pippen. Thank you so much for your time today. I hope this helps you. I hope this protects you. I hope this protects your legacy, your family, the ministry that God's given you, the business career God's given you. And I'm not really interested in fast starts, but I love people who have a faithful career in whatever their area of discipline is for 30, 40, 50 years, and they finish strong. And that's what I want for you today. And thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.